Then, of course, in the background, I started to think, okay, I can't go back to the world that I know. I need to find some other way, you know. So it was already starting to sort of clarify that it needs to be something where I can decide by myself, you know, where I want to work, when I want to work, with whom I want to work, and so on. But it was also very clear for me that there needs to be this element of some creativity and something that gives me that gives me power when I do it, you know, this kind of joy, but also the sense of sense.
Welcome back today in Making Waves, and where we bring to the light inspiring stories of individuals and who are charted their path to success. I'm Anna, and I'm your host on those series. Today we are diving into the story of rediscovery and transformative power of creativity. So I'm excited to introduce my lovely guest, Kasja, a payment expert turned into graphic designer whose journey embodies the saying, you might leave your creativity, but creativity will never leave you. Living in the Netherlands for 8 years, Kasja has redefined her career, after experiencing burnout and embracing her multiple passions and undenying thirst for learning. Kasja now focuses on creating ebooks, workbooks, and lead magnets and other documents, and providing by this invaluable tools for entrepreneurs to grow their businesses while she manages the creative process. Her story is not just about a career transition, but the journey back to the self through embracing creativity. Kasja, it's wonderful to have you here making waves with us. Your journey is really transformation of and the way you challenge your creativity into a new career. And it's very intriguing too and very inspiring. So I'm eager to hear more about this pivotal moment in your life. Welcome.
Hi, Anya. Thank you very much for having me. I'm really happy to be here and be able to, you know, share a bit of my story with your audience and hopefully be able to maybe inspire some changes or make it easier for some changes, because I think we both know that this kind of big moments and some big transitions are usually not very easy, and they usually comes with a lot of waves in emotions and
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. And as you said, it's not an easy process, and it's continuous process. It's never one moment, but there is a one defining moment that actually it is catalyst for that change. So what was it in your case?
I think it was a couple of moments in time that adapt together to the moment where I am today at the moment. I think the first like seed kind of was actually coming to the Netherlands, because I really wanted to be here. Like, I chose this country to be my country in a way. So I was looking for a job, and I got the job, and it was supposed to be, you know, like a dream job. I was super excited. I got the position in my field. Like, I was a payment expert. So, you know, on a paper, everything was adding up. And
on the paper.
on the paper. And then I moved, and then I went to the job, and then week number 1, I knew I should run. You know, it was, I mean, I worked in a lot of international corporations, a lot of companies, but such a level of like toxicity in one place I have not seen previously. It was really not a good experience from like any point of view. And I should have really taken myself out of the situation already back then. But of course, you know, I'm smart now. And those 8 years ago, I was a completely different person with a completely different mindset. And back then, I still believed, you know, corporate is going to be my whole world till the end of the world, and so on. So all this like things like, oh, how it's going to look like on my CV, you know, if I'm going to quit my job after 1 week, and financial aspect, of course, you know, behind the whole move, and so on. Bottom line, I didn't took myself from this situation for like 10 months. And it ended up with like a lot of really unpleasant situation that happened on this job. But essentially, it also led to the situation where I was no longer with this company, and I managed to like end my employment a little bit earlier. So I had like 2 extra weeks of free time. And then my new job was not starting yet for another month, because like it was financial institution, you have all this like, you know, background checks, a little bit more thorough, and so on. So for the first time in like, since I started my career in my very early 20s, I had more than 2 weeks of a free time. Like I had 6 weeks in total, you know.
Oh, wow. What a luxury back then, right? You would say like, whew.
What a shock. It was,
What am I going to do with those 2 weeks?
Yeah. So I ended up spending like a lot of time just being like in Amsterdam during the day, you know, like just going either to meet with someone, or just like, I don't know, to some museum, or just for a walk, you know, whatever, just wander around the city.
So may I just say that was just like purely enjoying yourself and being in the city fully, that you moved from Poland finally.
Yes, but that was also like a really eye-opening and like really shocking experience, because it was the first time when I like really consciously saw that, you know, there is a life outside of 9 to 5, and being behind the desk from 9 to 5. Like, I know it sounds funny, because of course I was aware of the fact that, you know, people have all sorts of different jobs, and not all of them are requiring, you know, a corporation desk and so on. But that was so tangible in that moment, you know, like obviously when you're in Amsterdam, there's a lot of tourists, and you see that there are tourists, but there were also people who were like, you know, working, having some like business meeting. I was like, there's life out there, you know, like, wow.
What a discovery.
Yeah. And I think that was a second, like a second thing that was not really a defining moment back then, because I was still like, yeah, but I mean, you know, corporation, steady position, career, like payments.
Yes, payments and creativity, they don't get along, I would say. And on the note about when you said like that there is a life out there, that there's a different world. I remember when I was back in corporate days, and I was just going sometimes to grab a coffee, and I was looking at those people sitting down at the laptops, and it's just like, you know, like really, like, what are you doing? Like, they don't have a real job. And it's like, it was very like absolutely not humble from my side, and it really purely shows like the tunnel vision that I have back then. So I can absolutely identify with what you said, like, aha, but there is something else. Then you have that second moment that is like, you had those 2 weeks.
Yeah, that I was saying that was back at the time. It was probably not a defining moment, but it was definitely like something that, you know, started to happening in the back of my in the back of my head. And then I went to the second job that I had in Netherlands, and then surprise, surprise, that was a big corporation, payment corporation, and so on. And I must say that it was absolutely different experience. Like, I mean, obviously each corporate job has some things that comes with the fact that it's being corporate, but in general, that was like a completely different experience. Like they were super respectful of your, you know, free time and your personal like needs and so on. Completely different experience. Nevertheless, I got a very difficult project where was a lot of like history behind this project, not a good one. Like there was a customer outside, there was a supplier that was inside, and they really didn't match with each other. And then you're in the middle trying to kind of like, Nevertheless, like I was managing this project for about a year and a half or so. And I was really trying to, make a change and leave this history behind, but that was not really very possible due to all different reasons. So I ended up with like a year and a half of like feeling, like a hamster that is like running in the same wheel and occasionally banging some walls and still being in the same place. And then at some point that just became too much. Like, of course, I brought it up with, my superiors, but let's not go into into details. Bottom line, I got to the point where, I already knew it's bad. Like I already knew I am feeling bad and something is really going on. But I kept pushing, because...
Of course. Yes. Especially like
What
I would
else?
say the female experts, and I think especially also in our culture, being Polish, right? So we don't give up, we push it through, we can do more, and that's really absolutely not healthy way of dealing with yourself. That's for
Yes.
sure, with the situation, and it's harming.
Yes, it is. I mean, I must say this is probably one of not very many moments where my cultural background really kicked my butt, because in any other aspect of professional functioning, okay, you sometimes came across like some not very funny jokes about Poles and so on, but in general, okay, screw it. But this one thing was really impactful, because honestly, when I look back about it, without all these emotions that I had back then, I should have taken the sick leave probably half a year earlier than I actually did, But because of that, female, we always push through and so on. And also the fact that, when I was leaving Poland and all the professional environment that I knew there, you don't take a sick leave because, you don't feel well or you're feeling tired.
Of course.
You take a sick leave, when you break your leg, or I don't know, you're lying in a hospital with pneumonia or something. That's a reason to take a sick leave, and not that you're feeling overwhelmed and So
yes, this concept does not exist in our country.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe now things has changed, and maybe they has changed for better. I hope so. I really do. But back then, when I was leaving Poland, this 8 years ago, it was not. That didn't even existed back then, probably. So that was really, I should have done it way sooner than I did.
And can I ask you, like, have you had thoughts of like, oh, I'm failing, or it's a shame, like there's a shame and there's a guilt and there's a failure?
When I took my sick leave, I finally called to take a sick leave when an alarm called in the morning, and I got up, I sat on the bed, and I just started to cry. Like I was not able to force myself to get out from the bed and go to the work, like it was beyond my capability. I'm getting emotional thinking about this still, but I pushed myself that far, that I reached this wall where it was absolutely not possible to go a step farther, that was the first time that I went on a sick leave, and I felt terrible. Like it was such a mix of emotions. On the one hand side, I had so much like relief that, you know, I don't need to deal with all these daily things that are just too overwhelming at the time. And on the other hand side, I felt terrible towards my employer. I think that you know, it was also not helping in this situation that we really did have a really good relationship, you know, with my direct and indirect superiors. I had a really nice relationship, you know, they appreciate me and my work, and I really did respect it and appreciated them. It was not really like, you know, we're friends, but there was a lot of like good communication and respect. So that made it like double guilty, you know. I was feeling so bad about it towards them that I had back at the time this mindset of like, okay, fine, we are where we are, the situation is kind of not fantastic, but let's check all the boxes that we need to check so I can get better, so I can go back and like do what I was hired for.
Of course, you know? On the mission, right? Already.
Yes.
Check. Okay, 2 weeks, probably it's going to be enough. Oh, maybe a month, that's it. And I'm ready to go back. And that's the absolutely illusion of when you are push yourself to the point, as you said, sitting on your bed and crying, not being able to go to work. Yeah. So I'm curious what's next then.
Well, I did cure myself in the process. So I did had a little bit of rest. I don't remember now exactly how it was, but I think I was like on a sick leave together probably about like 8 months, but then the last month was already like reintegration and so on. And that was also kind of connected with the moment where I started a therapy. And that, of course, like open up the whole other world, you know.
Yes, it's another level.
It's another level, yeah. And you know, obviously, coming from Poland, I think we all have some histories of like, you know, difficulties in the families and da 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 da. And,
yes, we are carrying that luggage from our past, and we had somehow we have this tendency to keep it with us, right? Instead of just outload it on the way. So we are just like carrying and allowing those things still to define us, and definitely having this professional help can be well, freeing.
You know what? That too. But I think what is even worse is that until you not starting to look at this from a different perspective, you consider certain things to be okay, normal, you know, and then when you allow yourself to see what really happened and how it really happened and what impact it had on you, you're like,
yeah.
Holy what shit. Happened here? Yes, you know, like I don't know. I mean, obviously, I don't want to generalize because it's a very different situations in a very different homes. But in my times around me, you know, it was okay to hit a child, for example. It was okay to completely like disregard needs because they are just a child and this kind of
course,
you know, and it has an impact on you, you know, it goes with you. And until you have a time to and possibility to really look at this, you think it's, you know, maybe somewhere underneath you feel like it shouldn't be this way, but you also don't have the tools to kind of be able to deal with it.
Absolutely. So, you don't know how to get out of that situation, because when you look around and it's like, okay, that's normal, so there is something wrong with me. So it's like, yeah, what's going on?
So that was like that was like a whole different level. And then after those couple of months, I came back to work. So, you know, on one hand side, I was feeling like super happy and so on. But this experience plus this therapy that I was starting, like I was always describing this as a sort of I was in a box, you know, fitting perfectly into the box because I grew inside this box. And this experience kind of ripped the box and took me outside of it. And then there is no going back, because there is no way you're going to fit this box again, you know, like it's not going to happen. So I came back and I was trying to do my very best, you know, and provide the services I was hired for and be as engaged as I was before and so on. But it was really difficult because of this, you know, all the changes and the processes that I was going through and this experience. And I was still doing, you know, a good job, but I kind of was feeling like, I don't know. I think in a way I felt trapped because I still didn't saw another possibility and another way fully. And in the same time, where I was, I knew I cannot function there anymore the way I used to. So I was trying to, you know, find some way in which I can still be there and do what I'm supposed to do. And then in the same time, not letting this impact me so much on a personal level as it used to. So not engaging so much emotionally and so on. Yeah. What can I say?
So you like said, like the old ways already did not work because, as you said, there's no way of coming back to that box. There's no way to unseen what you've seen, unsaid what has been said, and you still didn't know. Okay, if not then what? So there is like kind of transition period, and it's wobbly and it's scary.
Yeah. And so I've been in this state for about a year. And then, and then I was like, step before this previous with the bed where I couldn't move and so on. And I was like, okay, that is not going to work. I need a break, you know, I need a break. So I called in a sick leave for a second time. And this time it was like a full ride. Like it was 2 years of a sick leave with like, you know, trying to reintegrate, trying to maybe change position, but like how a very long story and a very long process. But yeah, what we talked about, you know, our cultural background and like trying to push yourself and so on. I was still, because my company was still like super supportive, and they were all the time keep saying, you know, your position is there, it's waiting for you. Every time you like feel like you're ready, you can go back and so on. And on one hand side, it was lovely because I didn't had this like, you know, fights like I hear sometimes from my colleagues that work in other companies that they had really horrible experiences when they were on the sick leave. I didn't have that. But funny enough, that made it more difficult, you know, because
you said this double guilt was just,
oh my God, yes, so much. So much so that like if you're on a sick leave for about a year, and it is still, you know, your full reintegration is still not on the horizon, then the company is kind of obliged to do like a external evaluation of like your situation and whether your position is for sure good for you in the situation. And I remember I had that. And during this evaluation, I was still like, you know, there is no way I am not gonna go back. Like I need to go back, you know, I need to still be able to kind of work off my sick leave, you know. and I remember back then my boss was like, Kasja, it is there. It is waiting for you. If you're feeling better, we're going to be delighted to have you back. But if for whatever kind of reasons it is not going to happen, it is also okay. And I was like, it's okay, you know, like all these years of
What do you mean,
person.
okay?
Yeah, that was, oh my God. That was like a really, yeah, that was a really like, you're in such a like roller coaster of emotions that it's really difficult to find like your peace in it, you know, and like the path in it. So I think it was like a year and a half in a process, and I was still like, you know, yeah, okay, well, I need to go back, I need to go back, I need to go back.
So somehow you were really trying to go back to that box, even though you knew that it's not for
No,
you.
so I wanted, like, my idea was that I am gonna go back. I'm gonna still work there for like a year or two, so I can, you know, work off the time that I was sick, and then I'm gonna quit. But then I'm gonna be okay with, you know, with my company, like, yeah, right. So, luckily, not luckily, my body was smarter than I was.
Body knows
Body knows,
earlier
yeah,
than our mind. Yes.
yeah. And somewhere after a year and a half, that was like a bizarre experience, like seriously. I woke up one day and my head was not there. You know, like I was reading a newspaper, you know, like an article in a newspaper. I finished the article and I was not able to summarize and repeat to someone, you know, what I just read, even though I technically did understood what I read, you know. Some like more comprehensive tasks of like, you know, gathering the informations from a couple of sources and then doing some, everything that was like essence of my job and needed to be able to function in my job was gone. Like I was, for I don't know, a couple of months, my brain was just like mush mush, you know, like it just did not function. I was not able to focus. I was not able to do anything really. And I think that, you know, it was a horrible experience, but at the end of the day, that saved me from trying to do this trick of, hey, let me go back and pay off my sins and so on, you know.
So
Because
I think it has to be really like in your case, and also it was my case, like just really hitting hard, and there is no coming back, because those signals that your body, your mind was sending you earlier, that was just like constantly a little bit dismissed, and now it's like you cannot. This is what it is, and you need to deal with that.
yes.
Horrible as it is, sometimes that's what we need to change.
Yeah, I think so. And also, yeah, that was kind of combined with like a depression episode that lasted for a couple of months, for which luckily I got the meds which like worked almost straight away. I mean, aside from the first like 2 weeks, which was really funny when you're like walking into the doors and missing the doors and like, you know, but it is like adjustment period for a body, so that was okay. But I think that they also like took off a little bit of this pressure that I was putting on myself, so it kind of allowed to, you know, a little bit chill down the whole fight or flight kind of yeah, I don't know if it was even like fight or flight. That was like a total freeze mode back at the time. But nevertheless, when that pressure went a little bit off, I had a like period where I really wasn't able to do anything. Like reading a book was a challenge, you know. Like, but back then I I don't know, it started with like one silly YouTube that I came across. It was like some TED talk about that everyone can draw, you know, and the guy was
Mm-hmm.
like teaching, I don't even remember who was this person, but the guy was like teaching to draw a very simple, like a human faces, and
Mm-hmm.
like give a characteristics that makes it like straight away recognizable. So I remember that we were, for example, drawing the Einstein, you know, with the hairs and so on, and it was so simple, so funny. And it kind of worked. I mean, like it was like three, you know, lines. It would be difficult if it didn't work, but it kind of got this spark somehow back that was
Mm-hmm.
like long years forgotten somewhere in the process. And I remember that I got like iPad back then, and I downloaded the Procreate. It's like the drawing application, and I started to like just, you know, doodle whatever, you know.
So you were just having fun, right? Something that probably you haven't done for pretty long time.
I think that wasn't fun yet at this stage.
Okay.
Like it was just, you know, like trying out something and
Mm-hmm.
like doing something different than just like playing some stupid games on your phone. It was keeping me busy, and like this is also, I think, a big like chunk of what didn't entirely work for me in a corporate work
Mm-hmm.
was that, you know, I rarely saw my work from A to Z
Mm.
because I was usually in some part of the process. Um, and then I took every project quite personally, you know, so it was like my baby, and then I needed to
Mm-hmm.
give my baby to somebody else's hands, and like I don't know how they're
Yeah.
gonna take care of them, and so on. So I never had this like, you know, full overview and the satisfaction when you're like looking at the end and saying, okay, I did it from the beginning, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That was one aspect of it. And the second aspect of it was that I was purely working with my head. And however that is great, the aspect of doing something with your hands, you know, and then
Mm-hmm.
being able to see the results and say, hey, I did it, it is like different level as well, you know. And I was really missing that in my life, and I was really not realizing I miss it in my life. So that was kind of like little by little discovering like, hey, I I felt proud, you know, when I
Mm-hmm.
completed this. Hey, that bring a little bit of a joy. Hey, I didn't hated it, you know. That was already enough.
Mm-hmm.
So I started like, you know, some small steps. Um, and then I took some like, of course, courses because, you know, yeah, 7 million of them. But I had a space back then, like, you know, I was able to just buy some course and just do it in my own tempo, even if it was like 5 minutes a day, and then I needed
Mm-hmm.
to do it, and then 5 minutes a day. But it started like that, you know, I started to kind of reconnect with this part that was creative and that kind of had fun doing this. Um, and that was actually like quite I don't want to say successful at this, because back at the time it didn't feel like a success, but like what I'm trying to say is that, you know, if I have something, some topic, like, I don't know, a present for a friend for a birthday,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, you know, sparks up and like up, and then you have like 55 ideas of how you could do things and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And not everyone has this, you know,
Yes.
capability. So that's what that's what I mean.
So
Mm,
was it satisfying for you, like going through that and finalizing and have something, as you said, tangible and it's mine? And as you said, from
yes.
end to end.
Yes, absolutely it was. Uh, there was, of course, another level of like, you know, imposter syndrome and all of that, with like, oh yeah, but there are others that do it so much better and they do it for
Of
years and you
course.
do it for months, like, you know the story. But in general, yes, it was very bringing a lot of satisfaction that that you do it from the beginning till the end. You did it with your own hands, and now, you know, it didn't exist before and now it does, you know. So
Yes.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So like, thank you first of all for sharing that that very personal story about burnout. It's we don't have enough conversation about that, and I really do appreciate you sharing and open up about it, because it can be very helpful for someone who is listening and might be in the very similar situation, and they don't have to hit the wall, and maybe take actions and take care of themselves in the earlier stage, and listen to their guts, like, okay, it's not serving, so change something. And I really love that how you said it, that finally there was like bringing joy, satisfaction, end-to-end process, and there was something that you were creating, and this creativity, and how your career went from that moment, because you said you did this small step courses, and how was it like from there to where you are, and how you're serving and helping entrepreneurs with your products and your creative skills?
Well, the beginnings were still very kind of like hidden in the closet, I would say, because of course I was still like formally employed, even though I was on a long-term sick leave, and even though it was like a kind of clear back at the time that I will probably not be able, after all, to go back to what I was doing. So I was taking a lot of courses on like drawing and this kind of things. And then eventually, when I parted ways with, well, actually no, it was even still when I was firmly employed, but it was a part of this like last reintegration, but you know, outside of your work, like it's called the tweede in Dutch. That I started like formal education, so I went for like graphic design studies. So I did, yeah, like I just went to school, you know, kind of. And I was actually very happy and very grateful that I was able to find a school where I didn't have to enroll to like all the classes at once, but I could take it semester by semester. So I had the classes only one time per week, and it lasted 4 hours, and it was absolutely draining on one hand side, because yeah, focusing for hours, being around people and so on, that was really a lot. But on the other hand side, we have a pretty small class, so it was also okay. So yeah, I started with like, you know, a formal education, and then of course in the background I started to think, okay, I can't go back to the world that I know. I need to find some other way, you know. So it was already starting to sort of clarify that it needs to be something where I can decide by myself, you know, where I want to work, when I want to work, with whom I want to work, and so on. But it was also very clear for me that there needs to be this element of some creativity and something that gives me that gives me power when I do it, you know, this kind of joy, but also the sense of sense. So like, you know, you're doing something that at the end of the day is actually useful, and someone will actually have I don't know, easier day when they're gonna use it, and you know, that there is something more behind it than just making money, you know. Not that there
So
is
there is a sense of purpose, right? And serving with
I
your
guess.
skills.
Yeah, I
So
guess.
So how are you serving? Because like as I said at the beginning, that it's like you take this creative part of and helping entrepreneurs to run their business and focus on what they are doing the best, and you're bringing your skill set, your knowledge, your expertise. So how do you support entrepreneurs with what you do? So what do you do and how you do it?
Yeah. Yeah, so my specialty are ebooks, but also all sorts of documents that ends up as a PDFs. Yeah, so lead magnets, workbooks, supporting materials that are for some, for example, online trainings, all this kind of stuff. And I will focus on the ebooks because there is like the most of it in it. So what I do is I look at this as a sort of like win-win-win situation, because
Okay.
on one hand side, there is a ebook author, you know, that pour his heart into whatever they were writing, and they want their baby to be like, you know, taken care of in the best way. There is a win in it for me, because I take this ebook and then I take the brand of my client, you know, I see what they want to do with this ebook, whether it is just for reading or whether it is an exercise, or, you know, like how the author wants this ebook to be worked with, kind of. And then I can put all my creative power into, on one hand side, making it pretty, although that is really not the most important part, even though the fun part, but I make it super readable and adjust it to the brand and adjust it to the purpose of the document. Yeah, because you're going to be on a very different way working with a workbook that you actively, you know, fill in and so on, and very differently with a document that is, for example, just for a reading and absorbing the knowledge from it. And very differently if it's, for example, a culinary ebook, you know, with some sort of recipes and this kind of stuff. So all of that impacts how it is created, and what we can do with the text and the brand that we are having, so that the elements that we are using are enforcing the brand of the customer. Because, you know, sometimes you have like I don't know, your custom bullet points or some sort of like a graphic thingy that you're using that your audience kind of recognizes. So we can sneak that into the to the ebook to kind of, you know, subconsciously enforce the recognition of the brand. But also the I was actually listening to the interview you had with Kasja last week, and she was saying that one of the most important things in a graphic design is this consistency, you know, with across different channels and across. That's it, you know. You want your document to look like your brand, you know, that someone opens them and they know they kind of belong to you. And then the third win is a customer, like the end user of this document, because they take it and it is actually easy and nice to work with for them, you know. I always kind of look at this as a sort of a gesture of respect towards your end user. If your documents are prepared in a way that are easy for your end customer to work with them, you know, like, I don't know, you probably came across some documents that was like created in Canva with like text justified across the whole, you know, page. You know straight away, like it has been done this way because
by the amateur. Yes, you can see.
And you know, I always say, like, if you have a choice to do it in Canva or not do it at all, by all means do it in Canva, you know. Start with what you have and the resources you have. It's better than not doing anything. But then do yourself a favor, never justify a text in Canva. Just do it to the left, you know, and it's already going to look like 10,000 better. But anyway, like each of the elements involved in this process kind of wins at the end, you know, and get something out of it. And I find it very like bringing satisfaction, you know, that it's not only about me and for me, but there's going to be so much more people benefiting out of well, a part of my work, but of course there is also a huge part of author's work for you know, putting the content and so on. But yeah, that it all comes together into a sort of like one ecosystem. Yeah,
absolutely. It is definitely upgrading the message, right, of that customer to their to the end user, so that can be this ebook can be another powerful aspect of the business, and that bringing that message across.
yes.
So
No, absolutely, absolutely. It is you know, it is empowering the brand by itself, but it is also an easy way to reach additional audience with this kind of sort of tools, you know, where the usually the entry level, I mean, the payments for the ebooks are way lower than they are for courses or, you know, working one-on-one. And it is a ability for your potential customers to kind of get to know your brand and to kind of get to know the message that you're want to share across, and go through this, you know, like trust process a little bit faster than if you're trying to do it with just, I don't know, organic content, for example.
And now when you said it, like what you were doing, I just have a question and going to the bigger picture. So what is that change or impact you are want to create in the, well, either in your field or in general in the world, or with your customer?
I definitely hope not to see any text justifying Canva never again. That would be an awesome legacy. But honestly, I don't know. Like, I mean, I am in such a I have a feeling I am such at the beginning of my new journey that I don't know yet. And it's okay not to know, you know, like
I love it what you're saying. I really do.
It took years of, you know, like working on it to say, I don't know, and it's okay. Yeah, because, you know, cultural background and so on. But yeah, no, truly, I kind of feel like I am at this like first step of like really stepping into my power, and the kind of like regaining my strength after all these 3 years that was like super difficult years, and kind of like looking at who am I when I am not working in a corporate environment? Like, what does it mean for me, and so on. That I am sure there's going to be something great and powerful coming out of that, but what is it going to be? I don't know yet, and that's okay. For now.
Absolutely. As you said, it's like, I would say that's exploration phase in a way, that it's like you're exploring what works and what not, what is response from your customer to the product that you have. And absolutely everyone who had a chance to create an ebook, or try to create an ebook, like myself, I know how difficult, how challenging it is, and how your skills can absolutely embrace and empower the message, for example, that I want to bring across. And before our first conversation a few months back, I really didn't know, like, okay, so what is it like creating ebooks? What is the essence of it? And our conversation gave me so much clarity, and create a lot of question on my end. I was like, okay, so what is the message that I want to bring across? So what am I trying to say? And then that definitely already sparked some insights and some questions for your customer, right? Like myself. And I really love how you're saying that it's okay not to know, and being on this exploration phase. And if you had a chance to go back, choose the timeline, but somewhere in the past, what would you say to yourself?
Yeah, it's it's almost tempting to do so right now that we have all this wisdom and all these experiences. And of course, like the first almost automatic response is like, follow your intuition, do not like settle for, expectations of other people and so on. But then on the other hand, you need to go through the path you need to go through in order to be where you are and have the wisdom that you have at the moment. So I don't really know if I would change anything. Like, I don't know, maybe if I wouldn't come to the Netherlands, I would be still, working in a corporate and thinking that is going to be my world till the end of the time. And would that help me? Probably not, So I don't know if I would change anything, but definitely the one thing I would tell myself from those years before is not to quit this things that purely gives you joy, like even if it is something silly, I don't know, drawing, cooking, whatever. Do what you like to do, because those are also those moments where your head is not actively working all the time and you have these moments of like, to kind of unwind. But that also would spark some other ideas to work on other things and go further, like I'm thinking back to the time when I was working still back in Poland back then, and I was working for a bank which was going to merge with another bank. And we had like a legal operational product merge all at the same day, like big bang, And that was a moment like in my career that if you would send an email at 3 a.m., there was at least 10 to 15 people that would respond to you immediately. We were working like crazy people, amount of hours that was put there was insane. In the same time, that is one of my best experiences, like I really do have a good memories from that time. But what I was doing back then as well, I was dancing salsa like a crazy person. So like, I went to the office in the morning. I was there till like 5 p.m., 6 p.m., whatever. I was coming back home, having some food, changing. And then I was going dancing till like midnight or something. And then I was coming back home, still doing some job. And the cycle repeat for like a year or so. I am thinking today, I was insane. But on the other hand, I think I wouldn't go through this period and I wouldn't have such a good memories about it if I didn't have this like a space to unwind, for a couple of hours, just pure fun, pure joy, just dancing, interacting with people who have the same like energy as you and so on. So yeah, that I wouldn't let go looking back.
So it seems like that this kind of urge and need for creativity in a different form, either you just creatively express yourself by dancing or drawing, that's something that is like a theme for you across the years. And it seems like that also creativity help you to choose your new path and bringing across, also make a business around that.
Yeah, I think you could say so. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, it actually never fully left, because it stayed like, it hanged on in one little bit, which was cooking, because that's like that was always there and I always enjoyed it and so on. But yes, definitely it you can take creativity out of you, but the creativity will never leave you fully.
Exactly,
So,
exactly,
yeah.
absolutely. That's what I see across that, and it's a beautiful message. And I really love it what you said, that it was something that was only for you. Either it was dancing, cooking, or this creative drawing process. So that was just truly bringing you joy. And I think that it's like having fun and enjoying the process itself. It's crucial. And I know that this is exactly what you are bringing also to your clients. And on like wrapping up our conversation, is there any few words that like you would say about your legacy you wish to leave, if there is any?
Text in Canva, yeah. That is one thing. No, but honestly, I really like, I don't have any like, you know, one sentence big legacy, but I really do hope that if there's someone who is watching this and they are in a similar situation, going through this wave of, you know, emotions that comes with this like really difficult processes as burnout is by itself, and changing, you know, your professional life and redefining this professional life. I really do hope that it does leave some mark behind, that you can do it, and it can be, you know, even though it is a really scary period where you don't really know who you are for a moment, you can come out of it with, if not like a, you know, solid, oh, I know what I'm going to do, then at least a hope of like, you know, like, hope is not a good word. It's more like you're coming out of it saying,
allowing yourself to have the opportunity.
I don't know yet what will be at the end of this road, but at least I see the road now, you know, and that is already 100 steps further where I was 3 years ago, because 3 years ago I was on a roundabout and there were no exits, you know, and those exits that was there, they were not a good exits. I didn't want to take them, you know, and now like I left this roundabout. I am at some road. I don't know, maybe I will come back, you know, maybe I'm gonna choose the other path. Oh my God, that is, sorry, I need to like add one more thing, because that was something that I was really struggling with for a very, very long time. I so wanted to make like a good decision straight away, you know, like that when I had some idea of what I can do, that I am sure it's gonna be it, you know, and it blocked me for such a long time. That don't do it to yourself. Yeah, like at some point it clicked, and at some point it helped me to think, okay, I can go on this road and I can still say, you know what, nah, I don't like it. I can go back, you know, and find another one. Or maybe if I'm gonna make 10 steps on this road, there's gonna be some, you know, side roads which I don't see now, you know, which are going to be the right path, but I will never get there if I am not going to make these first steps, even if they are not going to be the last defining forever steps. So yes, let it be my legacy.
I think that it's a really beautiful message, because change starts with the first one. It is just a step by step, as you said at the beginning, like starting with a small element, and just like building to the place where you are right now, and the documents they're creating, that didn't come up like this. It was just, as you said, as a process. To just love that message, just go for it. It can be just one tiptoe.
Yeah, step for step, or even half a step by half a step.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Better than standing still. Yeah.
That's absolutely, so I would say, so many beautiful messages in this conversation. And but I would like to just put the spotlight on you and ask you, if somebody who's watching us would like to work with you, how they can reach you, what is the process? We talked about different processes. What is this first step that they would need to do in order to work with you?
Yeah, so they can find me on Instagram. My English account is that ebook lady, I'm sure you're gonna share the links.
Yes, we're gonna
as
share all
well.
the links. Yes.
Awesome. And it always for me starts with a conversation, because of course I want to understand, you know, what is your brand, what your brand is about, what do you want to, what kind of feelings really you want to evoke with your customers when they're going to get this ebook or whatever document you're going to be creating into their hands, what they are going to be doing with it, because that really determines what we're going to do with the documents further. So we always start with a free conversation, with a free consultation, and we take it from there, you know, depending on what are your needs. We start to create a document or an ebook, but it always starts with like really better understanding what it is that that your company needs support with.
Absolutely, and I can only confirm that conversation really is insightful, and it's very funny, very warm, and still very businessy in a way. So if you think about it, please do go and check those links and have that first conversation and see what Kasja with her creativity and being outside of the box can help you with.
Yes, free of the box.
Kasja, thank you so much for all the things that you shared with us, sharing your story and giving a hope, giving a direction, and giving the aha moment to our viewers. I really, truly, I'm inspired by your story, and it's really, again, the proof that if we put our mind and we allow ourselves to be creative, to see what it's beside, to expand our horizons, beautiful things can happen to us.
Yeah, that is true, and yeah, allowing yourself for being in not known for a while is also powerful thing. Scary but powerful. Yeah.
Scary but powerful. Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you so
Okay,
much for
Kasja,
having me
thank you
here.
so much.